this is Lee.
And I'm Bob Napier. We have an important weather update for all Midwesterners. Tornadoes hate you. They hate you, your little dogs too. In case you're not already scared shitless by tornadoes.
As you should be.
We're going to tell you about the great TriState Tornado on Tuesday, March 18th, 1925.
It was the worst tornado in U.S. history.
Which makes great kind of a misnomer and should probably be renamed the god-awful tornado or like...
The really not great tornado? The damage caused by the Tri-State Tornado was estimated at $16.5 million. 3 states were affected: Illinois, Indiana, and Missouri. The path of the Tri-State Tornado was 235 miles. There were moments when the wind reached over 1 mile wide, 695 deaths, and 2,027 injuries associated with the disaster. 164 square miles were devastated. 50,000 homes across 3 states were severely damaged or destroyed. The Tri-State Tornado was part of a terrible outbreak that produced several deadly tornadoes all on the same day. A grand total of 747 fatalities and 2,298 injuries were reported, with the majority associated with the Tri-State Tornado.
That's more than twice as many as the deadliest runner-up, the Great Natchez Tornado of 1840.
Also, not great.
Who keeps calling these damn things great? Okay, this is going to be really bad, but I'm just going to blow through it. The 235-mile track left by the Tri-State Tornado was the longest ever recorded in the world as it crossed from southern Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. Although not officially rated by the NOAA, it is recognized by experts as an F5 tornado. That's the maximum damage rating issued on the Fujita scale. So, fellow Midwesterners, let's take a moment to learn more about our natural enemy. A tornado, also called a twister or cyclone, is a rotating column of air that is in contact with both the ground and a cloud. That actually doesn't sound so bad, sort of like a rainbow. Tornadoes, like people, come in many shapes and sizes, but they are typically a funnel for pouring death and destruction down our throats. Most tornadoes have wind speeds less than 110 miles per hour, or are about 250 feet across and travel just a few miles before dissipating. Tornadoes have been observed on every continent except Antarctica, which is pretty much the only thing Antarctica has going for it. Although they can occur nearly anywhere in North America, the vast majority of tornadoes occur in the aptly named Tornado Alley region of the United States. There are several scales for rating the strength of tornadoes. The Fujita scale is a scale for rating tornado intensity based primarily on the damage tornadoes cause to man-made structures and vegetation. The official Fujita scale category is determined by meteorologists and engineers after a ground or aerial damage survey, and depending on the circumstances, ground swirl patterns, radar tracking, eyewitness testimonies, media reports, and damage imagery. This scale was introduced in 1971 by Tetsuya Fujita of the University of Chicago in collaboration with Alan Pearson, head of the National Severe Storms Forecast Center. As if tornadoes weren't scary enough, scientists still don't fully understand how they form. We know that most tornadoes start out as thunderstorms. They require warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico and cool, dry air from Canada. When these two air masses collide, they create turmoil in the atmosphere. One way the rotation happens is when winds at different altitudes move at different speeds, creating wind shear. This causes a horizontal rotating column of air. If this column is caught by a supercell updraft, the updraft tightens the spin and increases its speed, kind of like how a skater spins faster when their arms are pulled close to the body. But tornadoes are not friendly like figure skaters, and they will kill you. The late winter to early spring of 1925 was warmer and drier than normal. An eastward-moving low-pressure system pushed a warm front northward while a cold front simultaneously approached from the southwest. This created a large draw of warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico into the tri-state region of Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. These conditions, coupled with an accelerated jet stream, triggered the event. What began in early mid-afternoon as discrete supercell thunderstorms eventually consolidated into a potent squall line. In Missouri, the tornado was first sighted as a highly visible and relatively small condensation funnel. The first fatality occurred around 1:01 p.m., by which time the tornado was quite large. At least 11 folks died in Missouri. The tornado crossed the Mississippi River into southern Illinois, debarking trees and deeply scouring the ground in rural areas before hitting the town of Gorham at 2:30 p.m., essentially obliterating the entire town, killing 34 people. Almost every structure in Gorham was leveled or swept away, and railroad tracks were reportedly ripped from the ground. More than half the town's population was injured or killed. In Murfreesboro, a total of 234 were killed, the most tornadic deaths in a single city in U.S. history. An estimated 613 people died in Illinois, the most tornadic deaths within a state in U.S. history. Crossing the Wabash River into Indiana, the tornado struck and completely demolished all of Griffin, where most structures were leveled and some were swept away. 26 people were killed there. The tornado then roared into Princeton, destroying half the town and killing 45 people. Large sections of neighborhoods in Princeton were leveled, and a Heinz factory was badly damaged. The tornado traveled more than 10 miles to the northeast before finally dissipating at about 4:38 p.m., around 2.5 miles southeast of Petersburg. In Indiana, at least 71, and probably more, perished.
The Red Cross responded immediately with doctors, nurses, and emergency supplies. The federal government supplied tents for housing. Tenants were seen were brought in because of excessive dirt in the wounds caused by flying debris. The Red Cross established 13 relief centers. Within 10 days, Red Cross chapter received hundreds of thousands in public donations. The Red Cross processed approximately 6,000 cases over the course of 12 months, providing storm-impacted individuals with food, medical aid, clothing, building supplies and repairs, tools and household goods, and transport. The program took a year to complete. The office in Murfreesboro closed on March 1st, 1926, having spent more than $2.9 million on disaster relief.
Although it is reasonable to suspect that global warming may affect trends in tornado activity, any such effect is not yet identifiable due to the complexity and local nature of the storms and database quality issues. Any effect would vary by region. The primary reason why the TriState Tornado was so deadly was because there was not adequate warnings or safety protocols. At the time of the event, the U.S. Weather Bureau was charged with the weather forecasting for the country. It was part of that agency's policy not to publicly acknowledge tornadoes in its weather forecasts. Tornado formation was seen as too unpredictable, and efforts to forecast them were thought to provoke needless public panic.
So here are some important tips to keep in mind, because you can be sure there are tornadoes out there, just waiting to pounce on you, probably in your sleep.
Love it. I love it.
The first thing you need to do is to stay tuned for storm watches and warnings. When there are thunderstorms in your area, turn on your radio or TV to get the latest emergency information from local authorities. Listen for announcements of a tornado watch or tornado warning. Learn about the tornado warning system of your county or locality. Most tornado-prone area has a siren system. Know how to distinguish between the siren's warnings for a tornado watch and a tornado warning.
It's a twister! It's a twister!
A tornado watch is issued when weather conditions favor the formation of tornadoes, for example, during a severe thunderstorm. During a tornado watch, stay tuned to local radio and TV stations or for further weather information. Watch the weather and be prepared to take shelter immediately if conditions worsen. A tornado warning is issued when a tornado funnel is sighted or indicated by weather radar. You should take shelter immediately. Because tornadoes often accompany thunderstorms, pay close attention to changing weather conditions. When there is a severe thunderstorm watch or warning, keep fresh batteries and a battery-powered radio or TV on hand. Electrical power is often interrupted during thunderstorms, just when information about weather warning is most needed. When you are watching for rapidly emergency tornadoes, it is important to know that you cannot depend on seeing a funnel. Clouds or rain may block your view. The following weather sign may mean that a tornado is approaching: a dark or green colored sky, a large dark low-lying cloud, large hail, a loud roar that sounds like a freight train. If you see a funnel cloud nearby, take shelter immediately. However, if you spot a tornado that is far away, help alert others to the hazard by reporting it to the newsroom of a local radio or TV station before taking shelter. Your family could be anywhere when a tornado strikes: at home, at work, at school, or in the car. Discuss with your family where the best tornado shelters are. The key to surviving a tornado and reducing the risk of injury lies in planning, preparing, and practicing what you and your family would do if a tornado strikes. Flying debris causes most death and injuries during a tornado. Although there is no completely safe place during a tornado, some locations are much safer than the other. Some tornadoes strike rapidly without time for a tornado warning, and sometimes without a thunderstorm in the vicinity, just like the TriState Tornado back in 1925.
In addition to the dead and injured, thousands were left without shelter or food. Fires erupted, exacerbating the damage. Looting and theft, notably of the property of the dead, was reported. Recovery was generally slow, with the event leaving a lasting blow to the region. This makes the Tri-State outbreak the deadliest tornado outbreak. March 18th, the deadliest tornado day, and 1925, the deadliest tornado year in U.S. history.
The event sucked passengers out of their cars, stripped the hair off the back of pigs, and blew people's pants into other states.
At the time, President Calvin Coolidge strongly felt that it was not the job of the federal government to provide assistance to impacted areas.
However, in response to the tragedy, new litigation was created for better building practices and emergency responses for public structures, such as schools.
Adlai Stevenson II, future 31st governor of Illinois and Democratic nominee for president in 1952, wrote about the disaster. Viewing this broad expanse of scattered, twisted, smoldering wreckage, one cannot but reflect on the futility of life and the insignificance of man.
It took a storm of this magnitude to change attitudes towards national aid for national disasters.
And in large part, we owe the drastic decline of tornadic fatalities to the increased awareness and preparedness catalyzed by the catastrophe.
This video was created for G109. Thanks for watching.
So you can just say, received hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Hundreds of thousands of
Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like that. That's definitely going to be it.
Really?
Satan.
I gotta go, Julia. We got cows.